My next guest is one of the biggest names in international rock music. He was regularly voted one of the best guitarists in the world, and he's in one of the greatest bands of all time, but he's not here to talk about that. Today, Queen's Brian May is here to talk to us about hedgehogs. Hello, Brian.
Hey, Jeremy. How's it going?
Really well, thank you, and great to have you talking about this because it is Hedgehog Awareness Week.
Thank you. It is indeed Hedgehog Awareness Week, and we are part of it. And we're here to try and make you aware of the wonderful creatures in your neighborhood and tell you how to take care of them, basically, and make the world a good place for hedgehogs. The nice thing is if you make it a good, safe place for hedgehogs, you're making it a good, safe place for all wildlife. So hedgehog awareness is something pretty important, I must say, to humans as well as the animals we're talking about.
And I've heard quite often people saying that garden fences are a problem and cut a CD-sized, if anyone knows what a CD is, a CD-sized hole in your garden fence. But it's not just that, is it?
Indeed, that's right. Yeah, we have 5 points, which I can sketch to if you like. That's number one. We call it access and egress. So they need to forage, these animals. They need to get from your garden to other gardens. So they need to have a hole or a gap in the hedges or whatever to get through. That's assuming that your neighbours are friendly as well, and you have to make sure they don't have the pesticides and stuff that we're going to talk about in a minute. Do you want me to just tell what?
Yeah, no, give me your 5 points. I'd love them. Thank you.
Okay, that's point number one. Number two is slugs and bugs. They have to have food, and they feed on these invertebrates. So they have to get rid of all your slug pellets. This is the rule number one, really, even though it's in number two. So, and grow plants that the slugs and the snails like, and the hedgehogs will then have a decent diet. We used to put out milk for them when we were kids, but there's some evidence to say that's not so good for their tummies. So number three is netting and resting and stuff like that. If you have anything that's dangerous from around, you've got to get them off the ground. So netting, like football netting and stuff, has to be away from the ground where they're foraging around. Number four is drink or drown. Now, they need water. They definitely need water. So if you've got a pond, great, but they can also drown very easily because they're not very good at getting out of ponds. So build a ramp to make sure that they can come out of the pond. Number five, we call do or die, which sounds a bit grim, but it's just all about safety. For instance, if they hide in compost bins, don't go in there with your fork, turn over the compost. If you're making a bonfire, always turn it over immediately before you light it, because those are exactly the kind of places that they like to rest in. They need to have log piles and wild areas to move into when they're going to have their babies and stuff. So that's it. That's the 5 points, really. If you have those 5 points, you are worthy of having a hedgehog in your garden.
Could we keep them as pets? Is that a way of conserving them or not?
No, they're not pets. No, they're wild animals, and we believe that every animal deserves to be wild, including us. Animals are not meant to be fenced in or put in cages or whatever. You can, in a sense, you can adopt them because they will come to you if you feed them regularly. But don't try and, make them house animals, because that's really not a good thing for hedgehogs. If you want them around, you just make the world a nice place for them to be.
Now, I'm pleased to say you're still doing your music, and you've got time for it still despite this campaign, and you have a track, actually it's kind of reversioned, Panic Attack it's called, with singer Kerry Ellis. Let's have a listen to a bit of it.
It's gonna be alright. It's gonna be alright. Somehow it's gonna be alright. Stop and breathe. Stop and breathe. It's gonna be alright.
And I was listening to that thinking, whoever is behind that song, yourself and others, have really got a sense of how difficult mental health problems can be.
Yeah, it's firsthand. I've had problems myself, and I've encountered so many people in this lockdown period who had incredible anxiety about one thing or another, but mainly about, the fact that they might die and they might not be able to ever see their families again. Now there's anxiety about getting back out into the world, strangely enough. But yes, I write things from firsthand, and this is something which is important. I guess it shows that we care about people as well as animals, and some people think that's in question. But yeah, and there's a very wonderful campaign from the charity Mind, who are at the moment launching this appeal to try and make people get therapy face-to-face rather than online, because there's some evidence to show that it hasn't been very effective just on Zoom and whatever.
Well, brilliant, Brian. Wish you all the best. Hope to see you in person soon. Thank you.